Talking with ExxonMobil Chairman and CEO Rex Tillerson this morning. And Rex, the capital management program is so important at ExxonMobil and throughout the oil sector. And what I mean is paying your dividend, buying back stock. Why is this so critical for you? I mean, I know in a low growth environment, 2%, people are searching for yield. Is that all it's about?
Well, I don't think that's all it's about. But, you know, most of our shareholders are long-term shareholders. And we also have a very large component of retail shareholders, a bit unlike most of the large Fortune 50 companies. We still have a very large group of retail shareholders, individual shareholders.
And they've held it for a long time.
And they hold it for a long time. It's in their pension, their own personal retirement planning. It's in their children's and their grandchildren's college planning.
They count on that dividend.
They count on that dividend, and today it's running around 3.5%, so it's very competitive with the broader market. It'll be, you know, what it'll be depending on the underlying value of the shares themselves. But I think also our shares historically have been safe. While we do move up and down with the commodity price cycle itself, the long term is, if you believe the long-term view of energy is positive, which is energy demand is going to go up, people are always going to need it. They're always going to need what we do. And so as long as we manage the business well and continue a growth profile, then their underlying investment is quite safe, and they get the upside potential along with a pretty safe dividend.
Which is why the allocation of capital, the priority is that dividend and the buyback. Let me ask you about the economy. One more question here, and that is the industrial side of things. How bad has this commodities complex breakdown been? I mean, you look at oil, then you look at, you know, iron or copper or steel, all the things that are used in industrial. Is it in recession?
Well, it's had a huge impact, certainly, on those commoditized inputs to our business, whether, as you point out, it be steel for drilling pipe and tubulars, whether it be large engines, diesel engines. A lot of the manufacturers that are in that space are providing turbines, things that are necessary for us to carry out our activities. They've seen a definite hit to and if you look at their results, you see it in their results as well, in terms of their revenue streams are down, their forward book orders are down, and there's even been an impact on some of the large engineering companies themselves, as the industry at large has begun to curtail and kind of flatten out its forward curve on some of these huge project investments. So it's impacting a lot of segments in the economy today.
Is it because of China?
Well, some of it is China, but again, as I indicated earlier, a lot of it is just the global economy is not hitting on all its cylinders. So it's broad-based, it's widespread. China is certainly a piece of it, but it's not the only piece.
The auto sector obviously was helped by some of these declines, and the auto sector is among those industries doing very well. In terms of driverless car and this new revolution of the new normal of driverless cars and technology impacting so many industries, is that going to impact yours? I mean, driverless cars obviously is going to mean a lower input in terms of oil.
Well, that or it'll mean more people will have cars because they're so cool to ride in. But now there's the technology. I think what's interesting about the driverless car pursuit of that objective is there's a lot of technology being developed to enable that. And there are pieces of that technology that can be useful to us and useful to other industries to apply that. We're already looking at how to use some of that technology, for instance, up in our big oil sand mining projects, where a big piece of that operation are these gigantic trucks that move about back and forth constantly. And how do you economize that and optimize that and keep that piece of equipment running 24/7 so nobody has to take a break, nobody has to take a lunch break, nobody has to have a shift change? Driverless trucks are very much in our future of evaluation. They are using some in Australia today. We're studying that. But again, it allows you to be more efficient with the capital you've invested, the equipment you have, take more cost out of your operation, and probably step up its safety performance as well.
You're going to put your family in a driverless car?
No, probably not. Or if I do, I'll still have my hand on the wheel.
Exactly. Let me move on to some policy issues, because Hillary Clinton, Al Gore, you know what's coming here. More than 40 of the country's leading environmental and social justice groups are demanding a federal investigation of ExxonMobil, accusing the company of deceiving the American public, basically, about the risks of climate change to protect profits. What do you say to it?
Well, the charges are pretty unfounded, you know, without any substance at all, and they're dealing with a period of time that happened decades ago. So there's a lot I could say about it. I'm not sure how helpful it would be for me to talk about it, particularly as we're leading up to some very important meetings that are going to occur in Paris here in just a few weeks. I don't want to be a distraction. I really don't want this to be a distraction. There's some serious issues that need to be talked about at that convention. I think all I would say is that we were very open during that period of time with all the research we were doing. We were spending a lot of time trying to understand this issue in the early days. We were very open with the work we were doing. Most of it was done in collaboration with academic institutions and many government agencies for us to understand this better. And I think as we began to understand that and people began to think about policy choices, we had a view on policy choices, which has not changed very much over the years, and we've been very open about that. So
we should point out that you actually helped finance accurate scientific research about climate change, and yet Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Al Gore, they're basically saying you and your industry are hiding the risks of climate change, just like the tobacco companies hid the risks of smoking.
Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Again, as you point out, we've been very active participants in supporting scientific discovery. We funded some of the very early attempts to model the climate, and still do at MIT. We were the only major oil company that has been a participant in the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, since its inception, and we still are a participant. Our scientists have peer-reviewed the work done by the IPCC. We have authored many of the IPCC's reports and have published more than 50 of our own reports on the subject. So we're hardly hiding from the issue.
We have not seen a real energy policy in a long time. Who do you think of the candidates today has the right idea in terms of energy policy? For example, do you think the XL pipeline should go through? Do you think the export on crude oil, the ban on exports should open up?
Well, I think rather than me talk about the who, I think talk about the what. But I do think that, we have been blessed with an enormous resource opportunity in this country. And the industry has seized that opportunity with this energy transformation that has occurred over the last roughly 5 years. We've moved from an era of energy scarcity where we were more concerned about sourcing our supply from countries around the world, some of which we knew were going to be unstable from time to time. Now we've moved to an era of energy abundance. And I think the forward-looking people will be looking at how do we take this era of energy abundance now and secure our energy future from an energy security standpoint for decades to come, because the resource is enormous. We have decades-long supply now available to us. What are the policies that will enable that? And how do we do that and deliver that at the lowest possible cost to the consumer, to our economy? So that does mean enabling infrastructure investments, which efficiently allows to produce this and get it to the point where the consumer needs it. It means enabling our ability to enter the global trade with these products and compete with others. And in so doing, we will affect the overall global pricing of all supplies, and those will come down to the benefit of consumers, not just here, but everywhere. And because U.S. supply is in that global now pool, it stabilizes a lot of the uncertainty for people in other parts of the world as well. So there's a whole host of reasons why we ought to be pursuing these types of policies.
Rex, good to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you so much. Rex Tillerson, Chairman and CEO of Exxon. Back in a minute.